In this video, I'm going to share with you 2 of the biggest myths we have about self-awareness and 3 things you can apply today to increase your level of self-awareness. And I'll let you in on a little secret. We're not as self-aware as we think we are. Okay. I'm going to be drawing upon a book that I recently read called Insight by Tasha Eurich. Insight is a modern-day deconstruction of a term that we have long used and abused and thrown around like a hot potato buzzword of sorts. And of course, that term is self-awareness. According to Eurich, who is also a psychologist, a whopping 95% of us think that we're self-aware, when in reality, only 10 to 15% of us truly are. So why does this matter? We all have had experience with people who believe one way about themselves, yet come across completely differently to others. On one end of the spectrum is the self-aggrandizing boss who feels super confidently about her leadership skills, when in reality, she sucks and nobody respects her. On the other hand is the people-pleasing pushover who gives and gives and gives and goes, oh my gosh, no, like, what do you mean? I totally, like, this is what I do and I love it. I just love giving. When, boom, he spontaneously combusts because it turns out he had had needs the entire time. As extreme as these 2 examples might be, they have more in common than you might think. They're both examples of people who are deluded to some extent, either from being able to see themselves, their inner workings, or their impact on others from an objective perspective. Ultimately, that is what self-awareness is. It's the ability to see yourself objectively. Self-awareness is such a coveted skill that Eurich calls it the meta skill of the 21st century because it sets the upper limit for so many skills we need to be successful in the world right now. So what does self-awareness consist of? According to Eurich, it consists of 2 parts, internal and external. Internal self-awareness means being in touch with your emotions, attitudes, values, and knowing your personality, strengths, and weaknesses. External self-awareness means knowing how other people see you and the impact that you have on them at any given point in time. This is where we come to myth number 2. Studies show there is no correlation between the amount of time people spend in introspection and how self-aware they actually are. I once dated a guy who prided himself on being self-aware. And at first, I was super happy for him and for me because, hey, self-awareness is a great characteristic to have. But the more I got to know him, the more it became apparent how delusional he was to the way other people saw him. He was so hung up on his own internal narratives and the story of him that it had left little room in his life for the awareness of how other people actually saw him. But yet, in his mind, he thought he was self-aware because he would spend so much time thinking about himself. And I think in hindsight, he was just a little bit of a narc. Wow, there you go. You just talked about an ex in your video. Anyways, the funny thing about introspection is that there is no correlation, like we said. There's no correlation between the amount of time you spend in introspection and how self-aware you actually are. When left unchecked, introspection can quickly lead us to becoming attached to the Freudian narratives of our lives. Self-awareness doesn't require that you understand the whys of every decision you've ever made or the story of you to its finest detail. Going about this inquiry can lead to rumination, and rumination is a predecessor to anxiety and depression and all of that good stuff. So, what are some things you can do in your life today to raise your level of self-awareness? Fortunately, Dr. Eurich thinks that this is a skill that anybody can learn. So here are the 3 things you can apply in your life today to raise your level of self-awareness. Number 1, start by checking in with yourself for at least 5 minutes a day. How are you feeling right now? You can validate your feelings without having to call a therapist who's just going to walk you through these 3 steps anyways. The 3 steps to validation are: 1, acknowledging whatever it is you're feeling. 2, accepting it and not judging it. And 3, taking a step back and understanding where it came from. That's it. super easy. Number 2, keep a journal, but not necessarily one that you write in every single day. The purpose of keeping a periodic journal is so that you can go back and look at your feelings, views, and attitudes of the past and compare and contrast them with how you're feeling today. And lastly, number 3, my favorite one, create a culture of radical candor within your immediate networks. This means be inviting of honest feedback from others and to reciprocate it yourself from a place of loving kindness. We want to surround ourselves with people who are going to care about us enough to be honest about the way that we come across, etc., etc. But also, obviously, to sort of deliver that feedback from a place of loving kindness. As individuals, we can't learn and grow unless we proactively confront the things that currently might be stifling. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment below, and click the subscribe button and the bell notification to be notified of my future videos. I post at least once a week here on this channel.